Miranda Kristofnikov is at the Penachta colliery in South Wales looking at a spectacular art project that's been made in memory of the thousands of horses that worked in the mines as pit ponies.
But to get a decent look, she's going to have to take to the skies. And by the way, it's pronounced Penachta.
Penachta.
Yeah.
Penachta.
A star for effort, though.
Thank you.
Working horses are part of Britain's heritage. There's a fondness for a bygone age when they pulled ploughs and towed canal boats. But there's not such a rosy glow surrounding the image of a pit pony working underground in the cramped conditions of a mine. Horses working down mines have been recorded as far back as 1750. At first there weren't that many, but all that changed in the mid-19th century when it was made illegal for boys under 10 and all women to work in coal mines.
Women and children's primary job down the mines was to carry coal. Without them, another way of doing this had to be found, so horses were sent down to replace them. Sometimes this meant they'd have to be lowered down the shaft in a harness, and once underground, many spent the rest of their lives there. 140 metres beneath the surface of Yorkshire at the National Coal Mining Museum for England, I can see how the pit ponies used to live.
It's not the best of environments to be living in. You've got no access to the sunshine. It's a hard life, and it's a fairly short life as well, unfortunately.
How much shorter was a life down here for a pony than it would be above ground?
Oh, you're probably looking at half, I would have thought, probably 5 years at the most, maybe 10 in exceptional circumstances.
They may have been worked hard, but some miners formed very strong bonds with their charges. 70-year-old John Carrington worked with pit ponies when he started as a miner, aged 15.
You were in a dangerous environment, they were in a dangerous environment. You depended on him and he depended on you. If a pony wouldn't go up the road, there were a reason. It was going to be gassed off, or roof were coming in. Now whether they could smell gas before you could, or whether they could hear cracking and banging, which you couldn't, I don't know. He's got something there he knows, and you don't know, you don't want to find out.
In the late 1800s, the number of horses down mines reached a peak of an estimated 200,000. But as mechanisation arrived, horses started to be replaced by machines and their numbers began to fall.
Yet as recently as 1961, there were still around 11,000 horses working in the collieries, and some of the last ones, like Jake here, were only finally retired at the end of the 1990s.
Jake is now 20 years old and is living out his days with other pit ponies in the Taff Valley. This part of industrial history has now come to an end, but at the site of the former Penachta colliery in South Wales, they've built a lasting monument to pit ponies, making sure they don't completely fade from memory. But this monument is way too big to see properly from ground level.
What I'm standing in is just a nostril, and to take on the full effect, I'm going up in the one-show balloon.
Joining me is Mick Petts, the artist who came up with the sculpture's design, and this flight will be very special for him. He's never seen it from the air before.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
As we rise, its true form starts to reveal itself.
On a brilliant morning, first time I've been up in the air, absolutely brilliant. The reason for having the pony in this kind of shape, leaping hopefully in an expressive way, it symbolises the final release of the pit ponies onto the mountain.
Taking over 7 months to build, it's 200 metres long and is nearly all made up of thousands of tonnes of coal shale the ponies used to haul. So this could possibly be Britain's most aesthetic slag heap. When it was completed, one last thing remained, giving it a name.
One of the first people who walked over the pit pony was one of the ex-miners. He stood on it, pointed to the ground, and he said, "This pit pony has got to be called Sultan." And Sultan was a pit pony who was kept just a quarter of a mile away.
Working pit ponies may have disappeared from this country forever, but this vast monument will serve as a reminder of the hundreds of years that those ponies helped keep our homes warm by working down the mines.
Oh, it's so sad, but they spent nearly a lifetime in